Right, we now come to business questions. Shall lead the House, Jessie Norman.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Speaker. Will the Leader of the House give us the forthcoming business?
Leader.
I shall. Monday the 17th of March, remaining stages of the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, Day 1. Tuesday the 18th of March, remaining stages of the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, Day 2. Wednesday the 19th of March, consideration of Lord's amendments to the National Insurance Contributions Secondary Class 1 Contributions Bill, followed by Opposition Day, first allotted day, second part. Debate on a motion in the name of the official opposition, subject to be announced. Thursday the 20th of March, general debate on knife crime amongst children and young people, followed by general debate on coastal communities. The subjects for these debates were determined by the Backbench Business Committee. Friday the 21st of March, the House will not be sitting. The provisional business for the week commencing the 24th of March will include Monday the 24th of March, second reading of the Planning and Infrastructure Bill. Tuesday the 25th of March, if necessary, consideration of Lord's amendments, followed by consideration of Lord's amendments to the Great British Energy Bill, followed by consideration of Lord's amendments to the Terrorism Protection of Premises Bill, followed by motion to approve the draft National Minimum Wage Amendment Regulations 2025. Wednesday the 26th of March, my right honourable friend, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, will make her spring statement, followed by remaining stages of the Tobacco and Vapes Bill. Thursday the 27th of March, general debate on St Patrick's Day and Northern Irish affairs, followed by general debate on the 10th anniversary of the Modern Slavery Act 2015. The subjects for these debates were determined by the Backbench Business Committee. Friday the 28th of March, private members' bills.
Jessie Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm sure the whole House will want to join me in recognising and thanking the salvage and nature recovery specialists who are even now scrambling to clear up after the disastrous collision we've seen in the North Sea. Mr. Speaker, they say a Conservative is a socialist who's been mugged by reality. But if that's so, then we're witnessing the extraordinary sight of a Prime Minister who's being visibly mugged by reality in slow motion before our very eyes. The government's brand of socialism started well. From its point of view, if disastrously for the country, we had the union payoffs, the rapid settlement of pay disputes in the public sector for zero apparent efficiency benefits, and a heavily tax and spend budget. The Chancellor was even so bold, as we will recall, to announce to the CBI that she would not be raising taxes or increasing debt over the course of the government. As she said, I'm really clear, I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes. But of course the budget started to unravel almost as soon as it was published. We had the bizarre sight of a government which was ever more committed to talking about growth while it proceeded to club growth to death across a variety of sectors. Well, how was that? Through the national insurance rise, of course, the £5 billion burden of the new Employment Rights Bill, but also, of course, through its loss of credibility in the markets, which have pushed up gilt yields by 25% since September. Great British Energy was announced and did nothing. The government made an unsuccessful attempt to claim credit for the achievements of the newly rebranded National Wealth Fund, which had been set up only weeks before. The system of infrastructure monitoring and planning had been dismantled, and there has been no news for 3 months of the decision on small modular nuclear reactors, which was due in December 1st or thereabouts. I ask the Leader if she can update the House as to when we can expect that decision. Then President Trump got elected despite, or perhaps because of, the special SWAT team of Labour activists sent over to campaign for his rival, and then the mugging by reality really began. The Energy Secretary was forced to pare back his ruinously expensive zero-carbon energy plans. The Prime Minister had to announce his plan for change. The government was forced to accelerate its defence spending plans in order to address the situation in Ukraine. And so it continues. This week, we have heard of its so-called Operation Chainsaw, or is that butter knife, to reshape the civil service. Next week, we will have hasty and almost certainly ill-thought-through cuts to welfare. Mr. Speaker, Labour were red under the member for Islington North. They became a gentle cerise for voters at the time of the general election. Now that reality is setting in, they're a pleasing shade of purple with more and more patches of blue. The Prime Minister and the government are becoming more conservative by the day. But, in sharp contrast, it is the government's policy towards rural areas that is most striking. We've seen the family farm tax and the disproportionate effect on hospices and social care services in rural areas arising from the rise in national insurance. Now we see, in the same week, Mr. Speaker, new compulsory purchase powers to seize farmland and the abrupt and unexpected end of the Sustainable Farming Incentive Scheme. The government is simultaneously reducing farm incomes, threatening farm holdings and forcing the sale of family farms through its inheritance tax changes. Even, I am sad to say, the £35 million allocated to clean up the River Wye, one of the natural glories of this country under the last government, has been cut to just £1 million. Mr. Speaker, the Labour message is clear. Don't be a farmer. Don't feed the country. Don't give us food security. Don't work every hour God sends, whatever the weather. We don't care. Now, the leader has been very clear that it's her policy not to answer opposition questions, or even to answer questions about her policy of not answering questions. And she ignored my questions yet again last week. But perhaps she can have a go at these questions now. Why has the government taken such a punitive approach to the countryside? And is it doing so deliberately, or is it just by accident? And finally, will she come to visit some farmers with me in Herefordshire so she can see the actual effect of these policies for herself? We'll throw in some magnificent Shepherd's or Rollston ice cream as well, if that will make any difference.
Leader of the House.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I want to start by congratulating young carers across the country on their day of action yesterday. And I know the whole House will be as hopeful as everybody else regarding Ukraine as talks continue this week and over the weekend. And I'm sure we all welcome the resumption of military aid and intelligence sharing between the US and Ukraine. This really is an important moment for peace in the region, and the ball is now firmly in Russia's court. Mr. Speaker, the honourable gentleman spent most of his speech last week and this giving a long lecture about why I don't answer his questions, while actually failing to ask me very many at all. I mean, we had a couple of small questions there at the end of another diatribe that sort of took us through various myths and misinformation as ever. He will know that this government had to take some very difficult decisions when we were coming in to deal with an economy that no government wants to be dealing with. High debt and rising, stagnant growth, low productivity, low wages and public services on their knees. And that's why we've had to take the difficult decisions that we have to fix those foundations, but to most importantly, get that investment back into our public services as we desire. He again raises the point about national insurance, Mr. Speaker, but I do have to point out to the House that he was a Treasury Minister when his government raised national insurance, not only on businesses, but on working people as well. And I'm sorry to tell him that this government absolutely backs British farmers. We are doing what we can to support them. We have increased the farming budget to £5 billion over 2 years, far more than they ever did. We've set out a new deal for farmers. We're investing in our flood defences. We've got a plan for sustainable food. And he knows better than anybody that the sustainable farming incentive had a capped budget that his government didn't announce. They failed to spend any of it. And given the action we have taken, it's been oversubscribed in the meantime. And that's why we've closed that fund. But we are setting out a new fund after the spring statement next week. But I might give him an alternative point of view on recent history, Mr. Speaker, because order paper aficionados will have noticed that Tuesday was our 100th sitting day of this parliamentary session. 100 days of boosting our public services, investing in jobs and growth, reforming the state in favour of people and against the vested interest, 100 days of change, 100 days of putting the government back in the service of working people. We've had the most ambitious King's Speech programme of any incoming government. 10 bills have now received royal assent, including the Rail Public Ownership Act, ending the scandal of free cash going to failed rail companies, the Water Special Measures Act, ending bonuses for water bosses polluting our waterways, and very soon Martin's Law, keeping the promise we made to Fegan Murray. And there's more on the way. Strengthening renters' rights, switching on Great British Energy, new powers to tackle phone theft, seize off-road bikes, create respect orders, ban knife sales, stronger protections against stalking and spiking. We're unblocking house building and energy infrastructure that for too long has stalled. And then yesterday we completed our common stages of the Employment Rights Bill, giving people dignity and security in work. And that's just a few, Mr Speaker. And beyond that, we're fixing the big problems the country faces. Waiting lists finally coming down, more GP appointments, breakfast clubs in school, a 25% increase in returns for people with no right to be here, more affordable housing and restricting the right to buy, finally getting rid of hereditary peers and cracking down on MPs' second jobs, and the biggest devolution of powers in a generation. And that's just a snapshot of those 100 days. And I know, Mr Speaker, that you will be pleased to know that in that time we've made 115 statements to this place, because, like you, I respect the House of Commons and I respect that we make announcements here first. But what a contrast to the last Conservative government. They had to be dragged here to make statements. Their last King's speech was threadbare. The pinnacle of their ambition was to ban pedicabs in London. And they're not doing much better now, are they, Mr Speaker? Hardly any of them turning up in debates. They're barely here for PMQs. I mean, I don't really blame them, because they were a zombie government, and isn't the truth they're a zombie opposition now?
Eccles.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I recently met with my constituent Becky, who is profoundly disabled after her mother was given Promodus. Promodus was a hormone-based pregnancy test that was popular in the 60s and 70s and taken by roughly 1.5 million pregnant women, and it has been directly linked to miscarriages and severe birth defects in a study commissioned by the University of Oxford in 2018. Can the Right Honourable Member make time for a full debate on this scandal, or join me in calling for a full public inquiry?
Well, can I thank her for raising this issue, and I'm hugely sympathetic to families who suffered from hormone pregnancy tests. She'll be aware that Baroness Cumberledge's independent review highlighted failures to the healthcare system and the fail to listen to patients' concerns around these tests, and she'll also be aware that the causal links have been reviewed many times before, but I will absolutely ensure that ministers get back to her with a full update.
Goldman, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As members of Parliament, there are many issues that demand our attention, but few can be more important than ensuring that children are well fed with healthy, nutritious food. And while I'm sure members across the House would wish that all families were able to provide this every day for their children, we must face the tragic reality that many children go hungry. In government, the Liberal Democrats were proud to introduce universal free school meals for infants. We ensured that every child could access a healthy lunch each day, and we did this because when children go hungry, they make less progress, have poorer behaviour and worse health outcomes. A free school lunch may be the only healthy cooked food some children get, or even their only meal of the day. This is shameful in a country like England. That's why we've tabled amendments to the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, which would increase the after-tax threshold for free school meals to £20,000 a year, expanding eligibility for free school meals to a further 900,000 children. We are also committed to introducing auto-enrolment for those who are eligible for free school meals, ensuring that children are automatically considered eligible when their parents apply for relevant benefits or financial support. Will the Leader of the House agree with me that no child should go hungry in 2025 and ask the Government to embrace cross-party working to support the Liberal Democrats' long-standing calls for free school meals when the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill returns to Parliament next week?
Well, can I thank her for raising such an important issue, which I know is of great concern to her and to many others in this House. And I'm sure that in the coming days, not just with this private member's bill, but with the Children Wellbeing Bill, 2 days debate next week, we will have plenty of time to debate these sorts of issues in this House in coming days. Free school meal eligibility should be looked at in the round, and that's why this government is developing a child poverty strategy, and free school meals is part of that approach as well. But in the meantime, she'll be aware that we have are rolling out free breakfast clubs in schools, because she's absolutely right that having a hot meal or a meal inside a child can stop them feeling hungry, but absolutely can help them to educate, concentrate and do better at school. And that's why we're committed to those free breakfast clubs, but also to our child poverty task force, which will also look at free school meals.
Rachel Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This Sunday marks Disabled Access Day and the importance of accessibility and inclusiveness for all. But sadly, disabled people in Luton South and South Bedfordshire can't access Luton Station because of the delays and failures of Network Rail to progress the Access for All programme and install lifts at Luton Station. So will the Leader of the House grant government time for debate on how our plan for Great British Railways will improve infrastructure and ensure reliable, affordable and, importantly, accessible train services for everybody?
Well, I'm really sorry to hear of the frustrations and problems that her constituents have had with station accessibility, which gets raised with me in these sessions very regularly. The government is committed to improving it. These are difficult challenges, and I know the Rail Minister is actively considering the best approach to the Access for All programme, but I will ensure that he's heard her question today and that she gets a full reply about that.
Chair of the Backbench Committee, Bob Blackman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In addition to the business that the Leader has announced, if we're given Thursday the 3rd of April in the Chamber, there'll be a debate on the impact of digital platforms on UK democracy, followed by a debate on access to sport and PE in schools. It will also be helpful if the Leader could indicate whether we're going to get Tuesday the 8th of April, literally the day before recess, and indeed the date for estimates in May. In addition, the business in Westminster Hall next week, on Tuesday, will be a debate on retrospective accountability of the construction industry. I know something that many colleagues are concerned about. On Thursday, a debate on prevention of drugs deaths. And in answer to the Honourable Lady earlier, the first anniversary of the Hughes report on valproate and pelvic mesh. On the 1st of April, there'll be a debate on eating disorders. And on Thursday, the 3rd, a debate on waste incinerators, followed by a debate on government support for Thames Water. On the 8th of April, there'll be a debate on persecution of Christians. Mr. Speaker, today is Purim, when Jewish people throughout the world celebrate their deliverance from the first attempt of genocide of Jewish people at the hands of the then Persian Empire. Tomorrow is Holi, where Hindus throughout the world will celebrate the deliverance of Vishnu from Holika, where Holika was the evil witch who was consumed by fire. Now, for colleagues who are first time going to Holi festivals, I recommend you don't wear business attire, because colours will be thrown, you'll be coated in various different colours, and I would advise you that you probably won't be able to clean the clothes afterwards. So will the Leader join with me in wishing Jewish people everywhere Chag Purim Samash and all Hindus Happy Holi?
Well, can I thank the Chair of the Backbench Business Committee as ever. He's announced a number of debates that I know will be of great importance and popularity to many members of this House, indeed many issues that have been raised with me recently, including that around Thames Water, which I know will be a particular issue, and the debate on pelvic mesh and valproate, which has also been raised with me a number of times. And can I join him with the advice that he gives to Honourable Member, but to wish those celebrating Purim and Holi the best of times this week. Oh, and he asked me about the 8th of just before recess. I'm obviously not in a position to announce future business, but I will look very kindly on that request.
Laura Kyrke-Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I was delighted to meet my constituent Amy Scullard at the Pebblebrook Community Cafe last week. Amy helps run a peer support group in Aylesbury for parents and parents-to-be who are struggling with their mental health, as so many people do. Amy is an absolute inspiration and I look forward to joining her group in future. Will the Leader of the House join me in recognising the vital role that these mental health support groups play, and will she continue to ensure that mental health gets the attention that it deserves in Parliament?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I'll join her in thanking all those who run the Pebblebrook Community Cafe and all the vital work that they do. Perinatal mental health is a really important issue that people have become to know about more in recent years, and I'm a long-standing supporter of the first 1001 days campaign and the importance that brings, and that's why we are so focused on the early years and some of these issues that she raises today, and I think this would make an excellent topic for a Westminster Hall debate.
Sir Julian.
As a believer in parliamentary democracy, I fully support the government's right not to exploit shale gas deposits in the UK on environmental grounds. But could we have an urgent statement from the appropriate net zero minister on the government's decision from next week to start filling in and putting permanently beyond use the 2 existing shale gas facilities in this country, rather than keeping them in reserve for an emergency should a future government ever need to exploit them?
Well, can I thank him for agreeing with the government that we shouldn't exploit fracking. That's something that was in our manifesto, and we're committed to not doing fracking. I will ensure that ministers update him on these matters, and as they have been doing, come regularly. We've had a number of statements from DESNZ ministers who are very keen to update the House as and when, but I will ensure he's updated on that particular issue.
Brickell.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Many DBS applicants are applying for work in vital public services, in education, in health and in social care, yet the prolonged time taken for the disclosure and barring service to complete reviews of applications is adversely impacting tens of thousands of people across the UK. Many applicants have had offers of work retracted due to the significant delays they have experienced. So will the Leader of the House therefore allow a debate in government time to address this critical issue?
Well, DBS checks are a really important part of many public service jobs, and it's really disappointing to hear of delays that his constituents have faced. In fact, this has been raised with me previously, Mr Speaker, and ministers are keen to hold DBS to account where standards are not being met, so I will raise this with ministers, but he should also be aware that in some circumstances they can request a hardship escalation where it is affecting job applications.
Alistair, Carmichael.
Can we have an early debate in government time on the ending of the radio teleswitch, in respect of which so many people relying on electric heating and storage heating in particular depend? It was last debated on an end-of-day adjournment debate on the 4th of December. That spawned a ministerial round table on the 5th of February, which promised further updates, but none have been forthcoming. We've just over 100 days to go, and it would be good to know that there is some sense of urgency in government on this.
Well, I very strongly hear what he has to say about the impending sort of deadline, and I'm sorry if this House has not been sort of kept as up to date as it should have been. I will make some inquiries and make sure that he and the rest of the House are.
Liz Twist.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Many of my constituents have shared their concern about the Consett Empire reducing its opening hours. The Empire is a real cultural centre of the community, making arts accessible to local people and providing a hub to help combat loneliness. I continue to speak to officers, staff and trade unions about this, but can we have a debate in government time, please, on what we can do to ensure that venues like the Consett Empire stay open and thriving?
Well, I'm sorry to hear about what's happening to the Consett Empire in her constituency, and I absolutely agree with her that music venues and cultural hubs like this are vital to our high streets, they're vital to communities and to the sort of cultural offer that we all want to see in our own communities. This government is committed to ensuring that we maintain such assets, but I will ensure she gets an update on this particular issue.
Morton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm very concerned that the DWP have confirmed there's a backlog of more than 30,000 pension credit claims still to process. This is in spite of assurances from the Minister in October that 352 extra staff had been deployed at the point of the Chancellor's announcement to scrap the winter fuel payment. A further 537 followed that announcement, and then in January it was announced a further 156 staff would be recruited. That's 1,045 by my calculation, with a backlog still remaining. So I'd like to ask the Leader of the House if she can make government time for a debate or a statement so we can really understand what is going on with this backlog, because I'm really concerned there are pensioners still waiting for pension credit and winter fuel at a time when they desperately need it. The winter still isn't over.
Well, she will know that we saw an 81% increase in claims, and the latest statistics show a 64% increase in successful pension credit applications, which I'm sure is something that she will welcome. We have deployed an additional 500 staff to process applications, and there has been a huge increase there, which is to be welcomed. And she will know, of course, that any successful applications, monies will be backdated to the day that they applied for it, so they will get that, but I will ensure that the House is kept up to date.
Vandra Mishra.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also wish you a very happy Holi for tomorrow, for all Hindus celebrating in UK and across the world. Mr. Speaker, an issue that is very personal to me and many of my constituents. World Parkinson's Day takes place on 11th of April every year. I want to pay tribute to the work of Parkinson's UK for all they do to support people with Parkinson's. Research suggests that PIP assessors do not have sufficient understanding of the symptom fluctuations that people with Parkinson's experience. Consequently, people with Parkinson's are denied much-needed support. In fact, in almost every instant that Parkinson's UK's expert social security advisors have assisted a member of the Parkinson's community to challenge an initial PIP decision, the initial decision is overturned in the claimant's favour. As such, can we have a debate in government time on supporting people living with Parkinson's and other degenerative conditions about the social security support available to them?
Excellent question.
Well, can I join him in thanking Parkinson's UK for the work that they do? And he's absolutely right. I'm sure that every single one of us as a constituency MP will recognise the challenges that the PIP assessors have in properly assessing those with fluctuating and chronic illnesses. And it's vital that those assessing access to benefits have the necessary training and understanding of these chronic conditions such as Parkinson's. And I will ensure that ministers keep him and the rest of the House updated on that.
Law.
Mr. Speaker, Dundee University, in my constituency, has one of the world's leading life sciences departments, but currently is facing a significant deficit, which is only being compounded by nearly £3 million in employers' national insurance contributions. I wonder if I can ask the Leader of the House if we can get a statement from the Treasury Minister as soon as, for those establishments that are facing serious financial difficulties but which are seriously compounded by these employment national insurance contribution rises, and if there could be a potential pause for those who are in this difficulty. Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about the difficulties faced by the university in his constituency. As he would have heard me say earlier, these are not decisions that any government wanted to come in to make. We've had to deal with the inheritance that we found ourselves, but also to ensure that we get the vital investment into our public services, particularly our NHS, which we found completely on its knees with such high waiting lists as well. The university sector and life sciences and our research sector have had very good settlement from the budget and in recent years, and they would be expected to find the national insurance rise from within their own budgets, but I will ensure he's kept updated.
Joe Platt.
Thank you, Mr. Mr Speaker. The Canal and Rivers Trust manages 2,000 miles of waterways with nearly 500 miles within the North West. And I recently met with the Trust and their dedicated volunteers where they highlighted confusion over ownership and difficulties in funding. So will the Leader of the House join me in thanking the organisation, and does she agree that a debate will give this important part of our heritage the focus it deserves?
Well, I absolutely recognise what she describes. I've recently met with the Canal and River Trust myself. I'm not sure if there's a canal that connects her constituency to mine, but I'm sure we could definitely get on a barge from my constituency to hers, and to Mr Speaker's as well. We're very well connected in our region in this regard, but she's absolutely right. They are, not only do they provide the blue space that many of our town and city centres need, but they also do offer tourist attraction and many other assets as well, and we should support the work of the Canal and River Trust as they go forward.
John Glenn.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Many valued public servants work at Porton Down in my constituency. When I was first an MP, it was the Health Protection Agency, then it was Public Health England, then it was the UK Health Security Agency. In 2015, a decision was made to establish a new establishment in Essex. I've been applying, and I will continue to apply, for adjournment debates, but we really could do with a statement from the Health Minister on the future of the UK Health Security Agency. It's a vital facility for this country, and my constituents need to know what's happening with it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry he's not yet been successful with his application for an adjournment debate, but both the chair of the Backbench Business Committee and the Speaker are both in their place, and I'm sure they've heard his plea today. But this is obviously the future of the Health Security Agency is of national importance. It is an incredibly important agency doing great work, and I will ensure that he gets an update at the earliest opportunity.
Very up to replace to come after the honourable gentleman. I wanted to thank the Leader of the House for mentioning the Young Carers Action Day, which was yesterday. Myself and the member opposite did a open-top bus tour with some young carers and got hailed on. Will the Leader of the House join me in congratulating Danielle from my constituency of Harrow, who won a prize in the National Show the Races in the Red Card poetry competition for her poem Like a Butterfly, and recognise the importance of creative writing in breaking down barriers and also challenging division.
Well, absolutely, we'll join him in congratulating Danielle and all the young carers in his constituency and beyond on writing an award-winning poem. And I think I heard on the radio this morning that AI thinks it can now do creative writing for all of us, but I'm sure they can't beat Danielle and all the other young people with their creative writing endeavours.
Martin Vickers.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Earlier this week I had a meeting with the UK Chamber of Shipping. Coincidentally, it was the day of the incident in the North Sea, but obviously we discussed that, but the main point of the meeting was to discuss the impact of shipping on the UK economy and on my constituency in particular. Could we have a debate in government time on the importance of the shipping sector to the UK economy?
Well, absolutely, and you know his constituents and others will have been, I'm sure, affected by the events in the North Sea this week. He's absolutely right to say that shipping, as the great island nation that we are, shipping is absolutely vital to the economy of this country, to our trade and to our standing. And I'm sure that ministers would be happy to regularly update the House on these matters.
Dr. Alison-Brown.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I've been working for several months now to help a number of my constituents to get the wheelchairs they need to have good quality independent lives. Whilst I understand it's the role of the ICBs to deliver a quality of service, the problem is much more widespread, and Wheelchair Alliance recommend NHS England play a more active role in ensuring ICBs prioritise wheelchair services and dedicate sufficient resources to them. Will the Minister allow time to debate the many challenges experienced regarding wheelchair provision?
Well, I'm sure we can all recognise the frustrations that many have with wheelchair provision. She's absolutely right. There's still far too much variation and regional variation in the quality and the provision of NHS wheelchairs. There is a new wheelchair quality framework soon to be published by NHS England, and I will ensure that she and the rest of the House are updated on that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My constituent Jennifer, an American citizen, came here in 2018 on a spousal visa, and her renewal was sorted in 2022. She applied for indefinite leave to remain in May last year. The government website says you'll usually be told whether your application has been successful within 6 months. It's been 10 months. Jennifer's now expired visa has raised concerns with her employer about her right to work, and that financial uncertainty is exacerbated as she can't be added to the couple's mortgage, which affects some of the works they need to do on their home. Jennifer's tried, I've tried, and I wonder if the Leader of the House could try to raise this with her colleagues, please, in the Home Office, to try and see what's happened here, get it sorted, and reduce the stress that this delay is causing Jennifer and her family.
Well, I'm sorry to hear the frustration that she and Jennifer have found with this particular matter. She'll know there has been a backlog in these issues. We've put in extra caseworkers. We are dealing with the backlog as quickly as we can, and she will know that, as ever, I'd be very happy to raise this with her and see if I can expedite an answer.
Emma Foodie.
And if you're wondering where...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In my recent 2025 Cramlington and Killingworth Priorities Survey, residents have consistently raised antisocial behaviour and off-road bikes. I know the measures in the Crime and Policing Bill will send a strong message that this behaviour will no longer be tolerated. But can we have a debate on the action that this government is taking to tackle the issue and ensure that the police have the powers and the resources that they need to remove these menacing bikes from our streets?
Well, she's absolutely right, and I'm sure, like her, I absolutely welcome the measures in the Crime and Policing Bill that we debated at second reading earlier this week. I think it's certainly for my constituents too, the powers that we're giving to the police to seize and crush these menacing off-road quad bikes and others is probably one of the most popular things to my constituents that this government has done in recent weeks. But she's absolutely right. We need to make sure that once these new powers are given, the police really do have the resources and can operationalise their intention.
Then the best objective.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week in Huntingdon, we saw the announcement that £600,000 of funding had been secured to resurface Huntingdon High Street, not only improving the look and feel of the High Street, but also improving accessibility. I wholeheartedly support this proposal, and it's great to see more steps taken to make it attractive to new businesses. The funding was secured by Huntingdon's bid team, Paul Sweeney and Mags Clark. They've been doing fantastic work to improve Huntingdon and make it a vibrant and thriving town centre. I've worked closely with Paul and his ongoing efforts to encourage local people back into town have been instrumental in its regeneration. So could the Leader of the House of Commons make time in the schedule to debate how we can regenerate our high streets?
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Can I also join him in congratulating the Huntingdon High Street and the local bid team for securing these funds. And I know that bid teams, I know from my own constituency, do a really brilliant job in securing that kind of investment and really having the plan to regenerate town centres like that in Huntingdon. And I wish him well. I perhaps look forward to an invitation and a future question to a new cafe or pub or any of the above, hairdressers even, in his constituency that may flourish as a result. But these are important matters which we will continue to debate through this House.
Mr. Speaker, last week I was at the Community Pub Hero Awards at Parliament and saw Terry Cole and Keith Fulwood from the Royal Oak Pub in Chapel Ash in my constituency of Wolverhampton West receive awards for Best Community Fundraising Hero and for outstanding contribution for the voluntary work that they do in supporting the NHS by delivering blood and medication on motorbikes, thereby saving lives. Will the Leader of the House please join me in congratulating the Royal Oak Chapel Ash Pub for their achievement and give acknowledgement to the wonderful contribution that our local pubs make to our communities? And can I please also invite her to have a drink in the Royal Oak next time she finds herself in Wolverhampton?
Well, always happy to pay a visit to a Royal Oak pub. I'm sure we've all got a Royal Oak pub in our constituency, but his in Wolverhampton, led by Terry and Keith, sounds like it really does go way beyond its role as a pub, as that community hub, and doing so much to help support its local community. community. So I'm absolutely delighted to join him in thanking them.
Lockhart.
Mr. Speaker, in Northern Ireland we have the ludicrous situation where soldiers are being investigated for engaging armed and dangerous terrorists without first exposing themselves to be murdered by those same terrorists. This is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to demands for one-sided justice in Northern Ireland. Can the Leader of the House make time for a debate on defending historical truth and challenging the one-sided revisionism that is eroding trust in the justice system, distorting the legacy of the Troubles and the memory of the innocent victims who lost their lives at the hand of bloodthirsty terrorists?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that her she's disappointed with the action the government's taken in this area. I know the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, who does believe in that the Northern Ireland Legacy Act needs reform and replacement. He's been working very closely with all the parties in Northern Ireland on that. He has updated the House regularly on those discussions and on his progress, and I know he will continue to be forthcoming in those conversations and to this House, and I will definitely ensure that he's heard her question today.
Martin Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd firstly like to declare an interest as Chair of the APPG on fair trade. Mr. Speaker, the Government has inherited a wide range of trade negotiations with partners. These include the Gulf Cooperation Council, Israel and India, all of which will have implications for the UK economy, the environment and global trade. Therefore, I wish to ask the Leader of the House what efforts he is taking to make sure trade deals get adequate time to be discussed in the Commons.
Well, can I thank you for raising that with me? As I'm sure he appreciates, I take the scrutiny of government trade deals and any other government action incredibly seriously. He will, I hope, aware that the Constitution Reform and Governments Act of 2010 did make provision for a statutory consultation and scrutiny of Parliament of these sorts of measures, but as part of the work that I'm leading with the Modernisation Committee and elsewhere, I'm always happy to consider other proposals to ensure that we have robust scrutiny of Parliament of any such deals.
Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recently enjoyed the privilege of meeting two inspirational constituents, Helen and James, who for the last 15 years have been foster carers to many children across Bromsgrove. When I met Helen and James, their foster child Lizzie. She's 11 years old, she's very happy, she's very confident, and it's quite clear the benefit of fostering in society. Now, Lizzie raised with me the question of can fostering be included on the curriculum in order to reduce stigma so that children across society are aware of different forms of family structure. So will the Minister join me in praising the fantastic work of foster carers across the country, and will the Leader of the House please raise this with colleagues in the Department of Education on behalf of Lizzie?
Well, can I join him too in thanking Helen and James and all the foster parents in his constituency and in all of our constituencies. And it sounds like Lizzie has really found a great home to now live in. And that is what we want for every family. And he's absolutely right that those who put themselves forward for fostering really are some of the best people in our country and society. And we owe them a huge debt. And the children that are lucky enough to be placed with them really are lucky. He raises a very good suggestion, actually, that they make about how we can ensure that people are well educated and understand fostering, and it's something that others could aspire to do. If I will raise it with ministers, but he might want to raise it himself during the debate of the Children and Wellbeing and Schools Bill next week.
Terry Jeremy.
March is Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm very proud to serve as a Target Ovarian Cancer Ambassador. I do so on behalf of Diane Boothby in my South West Norfolk constituency, a survivor of ovarian cancer, and campaigns tirelessly to raise awareness. On Tuesday, I will be hosting an ovarian cancer awareness drop-in event in Parliament. Can I ask the Leader of the House if she has the opportunity to stop by and consider whether there is an opportunity for a debate on ovarian cancer in this chamber, a disease impacting more than 40,000 women in this country?
Well, can I join him in thanking Diane for all the tireless work that she's doing in raising awareness of ovarian cancer and all of those involved in Target Ovarian Cancer's work. And I'll certainly try and pop by to his event, I think, next week, if I can. We are committed to improving diagnosis and treatment for all cancer patients, and we will be publishing a new national cancer plan shortly, and I will ensure he and the whole House are kept updated of that.
Ellie Charles.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In business questions last week, I raised with the Leader of the House my concern at the last-minute cancellation of the cross-party talks on social care. Now, despite her very sympathetic response, I still have not received any communication from the Secretary of State. Does the Leader of the House think she might be able to expedite the restarting of these crucially important talks to tackle the crisis in social care, so that I don't need to come and ask the same question at business questions next week? Thank you.
Well, she should keep on at me where we don't live up to what we say at the dispatch box. I did, and I have raised it with the Department for Health, and I will continue to do that for her. I'm sorry it's been another week and she's still not heard. The Secretary of State will be here shortly to give a statement on a related matter, not quite the same matter. So she may want to raise it with him. I thought he might already be in his seat when he heard this question, but I will ensure she does get a quick response.
Claire Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was speaking to Eccles High in my constituency to talk to pupils there about my role as an MP. We practiced bobbing like I've been doing this morning, and he asked some wonderful questions. It's a Welsh medium school. The children there have learned for the medium in Welsh. So as it's your vote, your week, or your vote week, could the Leader of the House perhaps say borrow out to the pupils in Eccles High for me and tell us what her favourite thing is about being an MP?
Well, Borodar to all the children in her constituency in Bangor, Aberconwy and elsewhere. And who would know that bobbing was such a skill, Mr. Speaker, keeps all our glutes in check, certainly at business question anyway, for me. My favourite thing about being a Member of Parliament is being able to stand up and advocate and represent my constituents. And I think first and foremost, that's the job that we're all here to do.
Mr.
Thank you. During the previous questions to the Secretary of State for Business and Trade, we heard mention of the fantastic value of the export of food and drink to the United States. It's a very sound point. Food and drink industry supports tourism all over the UK. Whisky distilleries give fantastic local employment in some of the remotest parts of Scotland. Mr. Speaker, next time you travel on LNER, the biscuit you eat will be made by Mr. Gary Reid of Thurso. Now, I declare an interest that my brother is a cheese maker, for the record. Could I ask the Leader of the House if we could have a debate in this place on the food and drink industry in the UK, one of our greatest achievements?
Well, absolutely. I mean, food and drink, great British food and drink, whether that's whisky or his brother's great cheese, I think that he said he made. I know there's a cheese lover sitting next to me on the bench here, Mr. Speaker, a big cheese lover. You might want to give him a sample of that, or the many other great food and drink that we make in this country. He's absolutely right. It's also a really important part of our exports around the world and to America and elsewhere. So I will ensure that this House is kept very up to date on these issues, and I think it would make a good topic for a debate.
Danny Bill.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you'll agree, Mr. Speaker, that one of the best parts of being a Member of Parliament is visiting our fantastic local schools. But when I've done that in recent months, I've been shocked by what I've seen. I've seen Deansfield, my old primary school, with pupils learning in mouldy and crumbling porter cabins. Bishop Hall, a fantastic secondary school with broken plumbing and toilets. And just last week, Glebe School, which flooded in September, still learning in facilities that haven't been put right by the council. So can I ask the Leader of the House, can we make time in this place for debate about school buildings, much needed capital investment, and how we build on the fantastic legacy of the last Labour government building schools for the future programme?
Well, he's absolutely right. The shocking state of capital investment into our schools, really was something appalling that we found when we came into government. We know we need to do more, and we're doing what we can initially. We've set aside over £2 billion for the next financial year, which will probably only scratch the surface, but that will include funding for Hillingdon Council to improve the maintained schools in his constituency, but he's absolutely right to raise these issues.
A bit more.
Mr. Speaker, the Worth Valley in my constituency is probably one of the most beautiful parts of the countryside, but it is under threat from the Warshaw Moor wind farm, potentially the largest wind farm development in the UK, ripping through 235 hectares of protected peatland, one of our most protected natural carbon stores. Local campaign groups are staunchly, quite rightly, against this, as am I, and in the interests of party unity, I've written to all neighbouring MPs. It's a lonely place for a Conservative in West Yorkshire. They all happen to be Labour, but I have not heard a response from any of them, despite having written to them back in January. So I wonder, could we have a debate in government time about the importance of raising our local concerns on wind farm developments and our concerns about Labour's announcement to remove the moratorium on wind farm developments?
Well, I'm sorry to tell the honourable gentleman, but we do stand proud behind our lifting of the moratorium on onshore wind developments, because this is absolutely vital if we are to get the energy security, the jobs of the future and the lower bills for his and my and everybody else's constituents that we so desperately need. I'm sorry he's not had a reply to his correspondence, but we have brought in the Planning and Infrastructure Bill, which we'll be debating next week, which also ensures that those affected by energy infrastructure near to their homes will have other incentives and other rights that they might want to consider as part of that bill. So I'm afraid we will have to keep going further and faster on these issues. It's vital to our future energy security, and it's vital to lowering people's bills.
Adam Joe.
Last week, my constituent Liz from Bignell End in Newcastle-on-Lyme came to my surgery and shared the story of her autistic daughter who lives with selective mutism. Liz's daughter was referred to the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, but the services provided were not suitable for her needs. So, can I ask the Leader for debate on how we can specifically, properly and quickly improve mental health support for children and young people under the age of 18 in Newcastle-on-Lyme and across our country?
Well, supporting young people with their mental health needs is urgent and is vital to tackling many of the issues that we face, not just for the individuals themselves, but for many other societal issues that we need to tackle. We are bringing in additional support for mental health advisors into schools, as well as many other issues, and you might want to raise these in the Children and Wellbeing Schools Bill next week.
Alison Bennett. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The community equipment services sector, such as Millbrook, who serve constituents in my Mid-Sussex constituency, play a vital role in working with local authorities and the NHS to help people live independently outside of hospital, providing essential equipment such as bed aids, bathroom safety equipment and mobility tools. This delivers significant cost savings to the government. I met representatives yesterday who told me that rising costs in NICs are placing extra strain on a sector already under pressure, and they also told me that there is a mixed picture in terms of reuse of equipment. So there's loads of potential here to save the government money. Will the Leader of the House allow time to debate the use of community medical equipment to ensure that the sector is at the forefront of helping people out of hospital, back in their homes, and as part of a critical role of supporting both a functioning health and social care system? Thank you.
Well, she's absolutely right that early intervention, services in the community, those services that can help to keep people living independently at home, to help with discharges from hospitals and from care homes, are absolutely vital to our country, to our health service, and to keep people living well for longer too. And many of those services, like Millbrook in her constituency, are either charity or community services. This government have supported many through increased budgets in the National Health Service, increased budgets in local government, but we need to do more to make sure that this is a holistic, well-supported, long-term service that people like those supporting Millbrook in her constituency can do.
Now, we have got an important statement coming shortly, but I would like to get as many members in as possible, so can we have very short questions and perhaps shorter answers from the Leader? Please, Steve Race.
I was proud to vote for the Employment Rights Bill, which, among other actions, will ban fire and rehire tactics. However, Tory-led Devon County Council are currently threatening over 800 of their employees, including many of my constituents, with those exact fire and rehire tactics. Will the Leader of the House allocate time in this House to discuss this disgraceful decision?
Well, that sounds like a really disgraceful decision, and one that I'm sure that he and the rest of this House will stand up against in his constituency. That's why we need the Employment Rights Bill. I'm glad it's now passed its common stages. We want to end fire and rehire for good, and I'm surprised that the party opposite voted against it.
John Lamont.
Thank you very much. As Leader of the House knows, there is strong opposition from residents in the Scottish borders to plans by Scottish Power Energy Networks to build massive pylons along a 94-kilometre route through the Scottish borders. Now, the regulator, Ofgem, plays a vital role in the decision-making process, but shockingly, Ofgem are refusing to meet me or the local action group. So can the Leader of the House write to Cabinet colleagues to try and encourage Ofgem to engage with me, and can she speak to Ofgem on our behalf to try and persuade them to speak to local residents?
Well, I absolutely shall. I'm sorry to hear that Ofgem have not got back to him, and I'll raise that with ministers. He will, I'm sure, appreciate that new infrastructure does mean difficult decisions in many of our communities, but we are determined to get that energy security and get the lower bills that we need, but I will ensure he gets a response.
Kevin McKenna.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Children and young people on the Isle of Sheppey face massive barriers to opportunity compared to more affluent parts of Kent. But last week, many families on the Isle of Sheppey were devastated to find out that children are being sent many miles away onto the mainland, several hours by public transport, for their secondary school places. I've spoken to parents, head teachers and local councillors about this. It's clear the issues are complicated, but frankly, at the root of it is that many people in Kent County Council do not understand the challenges that my constituents face on Sheppey. Will the Leader of the House give me some advice about the best ways to raise this with ministers in this House, and also going forwards to maybe have a debate about the allocation system for secondary schools, and particularly how it relates to areas of extreme need and deprivation?
Well, I'm sorry to hear that his local council seem to be so out of touch with the needs of his families in his constituency. He will know that planning for secondary and other school places is a matter for the local authorities, and they do get funding to provide extra spaces where they are needed, but they do have to do that in advance and being in touch with the local communities. But I'm sure he could raise these issues next week in the Children and Schools Bill.
Lenos Medi.
Wilva is the best nuclear site in the UK. The new National Policy Statement for Nuclear Energy has scrapped the list of best suited sites. So can we please have a debate in government time on whether this government is still committed to developing a new nuclear project at Wilva?
This government is committed to new nuclear energy, and we have made announcements recently to that endeavour, but I will ensure she gets an update about the nuclear proposals in her constituency and that the House is updated.
The picture.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. In Doncaster East and the Isle of Axholme, I've been working hard to reconnect our communities. In January, I submitted my proposal for the Doncaster East Superloop bus service to the Mayor of South Yorkshire. In February, I met with Hornsby Travel, a valued family-run bus company serving the Isle of Axholme. This year, they celebrate their 110th anniversary, recognised with a visit from Her Royal Highness, the Princess Royal. Will the Leader of the House join me in congratulating Hornsby Travel, and will she support my efforts to ensure my constituents have access to the transport links they need?
I'll absolutely join him in congratulating Hornsby Travel on their marking their amazing anniversary. There were cheers from across the House when he mentioned them, so they sound like a very popular bus provider in his constituency. But that's why we've brought forward the Better Buses, the Bus Services number 2 bill, currently passing in the other place to ensure that local communities have the bus services they need.
Vera Hobhouse.
Deputy Speaker. Rental income from social housing is currently 16% below inflation. Homes for the South West, which includes Kyrke in my Bath constituency, are under a contractual obligation to do repairs while also building new homes under increasingly stretched grant funding systems, making doing both nigh impossible. Can we have an important debate on how we can protect our tenants to get the repairs that they need, but also address the social housing crisis?
Well, that's exactly what this government is trying to do with a range of measures. We've got the Renters' Rights Bill going through Parliament at the moment. We've got with the Planning and Infrastructure Bill to support developers and those who want to build more housing, especially social and affordable housing. And that's why this government is committed to both supporting tenants but getting the new homes built that we need.
Alex Baker.
Deputy Speaker. This week, Union Yard, a new quarter of Aldershot, has opened, including the Makers Yard, a home for local creative businesses that have been delivered by the previous and current administrations of Rushmore Council. Will the Leader of the House join me in sending best wishes to local residents Jess and Georgina of Kitschy Bits Boutique ahead of their opening in Makers Yard on Saturday? And can we have a debate on what this government is doing to support more retail opportunities for local creative businesses as part of our growth mission?
Yeah. Well, I will absolutely join her in congratulating Jess and Georgina on their opening, and she's right that local businesses on our high street, especially creative businesses, are absolutely vital to the future of our town centres.
Ewan Steinbach.
Deputy Speaker, Zoe is a bright and exceptionally politically engaged young woman in Falkirk. She has had to seek private diagnosis for postural-ostatic tachycardia syndrome, or POTS, following admission to hospital on several occasions for symptoms consistent with POTS. No national guidelines for POTS exist, and alarmingly no dedicated clinical pathways for treatment of POTS are available for constituents like Zoe. Can I ask the Leader if she will support a debate to discuss the creation of national clinical guidelines for POTS patients?
Well, I'm really sorry to hear about Zoe's experience, and the situation in Scotland, NHS is particularly worrying under the Scottish Government there. The majority of services for POTS in England are commissioned by integrated care boards, but I will raise the matter that he raises with the health ministers, who are actually all just taken their seats, so they've heard his question there.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Human rights violations in Algeria, particularly against the Kabyle Berber minority, are of a growing concern. Reports highlight increasing repression, including arbitrary arrests, surveillance and restrictions on religious freedom, leading to, worryingly, to Algeria's placement on the US Special Watch List. A recent UK legal opinion has affirmed that the Kabyle people's right to self-determination under international law. So it's illegal. Yet this House has not addressed the Kabylia region since 1902. I don't think anyone in this House would remember that. Will the Leader of the House urge the Foreign Secretary to make a statement on this matter urgently, please? Thank you so much.
Well, as usual, he raises another important issue, this time in relation to Algeria, and I'm sure he'd be reassured to know that the British Embassy, the British Ambassador, regularly raises these matters with his counterparts in Algeria, including having recently met the Minister of Religious Affairs on the 10th of February.
Chris Blow.
Deputy Speaker, last week Redditch lost the giant. Arriving from Jamaica in the 1950s, Madge Tilsley MBE was a true pillar of the Redditch community, a trailblazer, a campaigning councillor and a source of joy to all who knew her. She made history as the first black mayor in Worcestershire in 1991 and is an incredibly hard act to follow representing our town. Will the Leader of the House join me in paying tribute to Madge's dedication to public service and our town and send condolences to her family?
Well, absolutely. I've read the tributes to Auntie Madge, as I think she was known, and I absolutely support him in sending all of our condolences and wishes and thanks to her and her family for all the dedicated work she'd given.
Amanda Hack.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It was fantastic to be able to observe the Leicestershire and Rutland Resilience Forum exercise Operation Mercury, a live emergency services exercise at a local barracks to test the response to a major incident on the M1. Will the Leader of the House join me in thanking Leicestershire Police, Leicestershire Fire and Rescue Service, East Midlands Ambulance Service and local authorities, as well as all the volunteers who were involved in the operation? And would you also thank the work that our emergency services do for us every day to keep us safe?
Absolutely. We all support the amazing work of our emergency services, fire, police, ambulance and many others, and I'll absolutely join her in doing that.
Jim Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Last year, Simone White, the daughter of one of my constituents, was travelling with her friend in Laos. Like many young people, they'd chosen to go travelling in South East Asia on what is a very popular tourist route. Tragically, After drinking shots in a Vang Vienne resort, she was taken ill and died of suspected methanol poisoning, becoming the 6th person believed to have died in this way at the resort. Unfortunately, awareness of young people of the risks of methanol poisoning is very low. Would the Leader of the House commit House time to a debate on how we can increase the awareness of methanol poisoning, ensure that no more families have to go through the pain that Simone's family is currently experiencing?
Well, I think we were all touched by this tragic case last November, and following it, we have updated our travel advice, and we continue to press the local authorities for a full investigation so that we can prevent contaminated alcohol being sold in this way in the future. And since November, the Foreign Office has been communicating the risks of methanol poisoning to travellers abroad, but I'm sure the whole House will join me in sending our best wishes to Simone's family.
Katrina Murray.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Cumbernauld Theatre in my constituency is a long-standing and vital cultural cornerstone. It now faces the possibility of closure following a cut to its funding by Creative Scotland. Its work also extends beyond performance, with an extensive outreach programme into the local community, and the petition to save it has now reached 10,000 signatures. Can we please have a debate in government time on the importance of local theatre and its role in increasing accessibility to culture?
Well, I know she's raised with me before this important matter of Cumbernauld Theatre in her constituency, which is obviously truly loved by her community. She will know that Creative Scotland and the cultural funds that they deploy are a devolved matter. And this is a shocking decision by the Scottish Government for which they should be accountable. They've now had a huge increase in their budgets, they've got the powers, and they need to make better decisions in the interests of her community.
Joe Powell.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. During the holy month of Ramadan, will my right honourable friend join me in paying tribute to the Al-Manar Muslim Cultural Centre in North Kensington that played such a pivotal role after Grenfell and through the pandemic, and now is inspiring as a place of worship, a community kitchen, a nursery, and so much more? And will she join me in wishing all Muslims in Britain Ramadan Mubarak?
Yeah. We'll absolutely join him in wishing all Muslims in Britain happy Ramadan Mubarak. But we all remember, I think every single one of us remember, the incredible work that the Al-Manar Muslim Heritage Centre did in the wake of Grenfell, when many others stepped aside. They filled that space, and we pay tribute to their continued work.
Can I thank the Leader for those